Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now. Black power.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? Hey, folks, today is Friday, August 30th, 2024. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. Vice President Kamala Harris, Governor Tim Walz sit down for an interview with CNN, their first joint interview since, of course, she became the nominee and he picked her. Can the media now shut the hell up now that she's finally set out for an interview? We'll show you some of it. Did I watch it? No, because I really didn't care. Also, the Supreme Court, the U.S. Appeals Court rules in Louisiana can end its state Supreme Court consent decree. We'll unpack and tell you what that means. A veterans group is blasting Donald Trump for his shameless behavior at Arlington National Cemetery. What did we show you their new ad? Also, two former black Georgia election workers, those who sued Rudy Giuliani, they won $148 million. They said, Rudy, it's time to pay up. And the white Florida deputy who killed a black Air Force veteran, well, he's now out of jail. We'll tell you all about that. Folks, it's time to bring the funk. I'm Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
People whine and complain, and Vice President Harris needs to sit down for an interview. Why won't she talk? Why won't she talk? Okay, fine. Yesterday, she sat down for an interview with CNN's Dana Bash, who asked her a lot of questions. A lot of them were just Republicans say this, the right says this. Really wasn't a lot of policy questions, but they got it out of the way. And so here's some of that interview.
You have less time to make your case to voters than any candidate in modern American history. The voters are really eager to hear what your plans are. If you are elected, what would you do on day one in the White House?
Well, there are a number of things. I will tell you, first and foremost, one of my highest priorities is to do what we can to support and strengthen the middle class. When I look at the aspirations, the goals, the ambitions of the American people, I think that people are ready for a new way forward, in a way that generations of Americans have been fueled by hope and by optimism. I think, sadly, in the last decade, we have had in the former president someone who has really been pushing an agenda and in an environment that is about diminishing the character and the strength of who we are as Americans, really dividing our nation, and I think people are ready to turn the page on that.
So what would you do day one?
Day one, it's going to be about, one, implementing my plan for what I call an opportunity economy. I've already laid out a number of proposals in that regard, which include what we're going to do to bring down the cost of everyday goods, what we're going to do to invest in America's small businesses, what we're going to do to invest in families, for example, extending the child tax credit to $6,000 for families for the first year of their child's life, to help them buy a car seat, to help them buy baby clothes, a crib. There's the work that we're going to do that is about investing in the American family around affordable housing, a big issue in our country right now. So there are a number of things on day one.
What about you?
Well, I'm excited about this agenda, too. As I said, the idea of inspiring America to what can be. And I think many of these things that the vice president's proposing are things that we share in values. And the child tax credit is one we know that reduces.
Okay, all right, y'all, I had to stop that. Okay, so let me just say this here, all right? I hate stupid questions. And I believe a stupid question is, what are you going to do day one? Let me help y'all out. The only thing a president can do day one, they can do executive orders. Congress ain't passing a bill. It's day one. I also can't stand, what are you going to do in the first 100 days? I hate that question. That goes back to President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And ever since then, 100 days, first 100 days, first 100 days, first 100 days. I remember when I was at CNN, we had this stupid thing we did where we held up these cards and it was sort of like red, blue, green, or I don't know. It was just dumb. I remember David Borman, God rest his soul. I literally said on the air, this is stupid. And it was. So it always happens. Remember, somebody who's elected, they're elected for 4 years. So this whole, what are you going to do on day one? It is maddening to listen to. So I just had to respond to that. So y'all, go ahead and press play.
Reduces childhood poverty by a third. We did it in Minnesota to have a federal partner in this. Unbelievable, I think, in the impact that we can make.
You talked about, you call it the opportunity economy. You are well aware that right now many Americans are struggling. There's a crisis of affordability. Yeah. One of your campaign themes is we're not going back. But I wonder what you say to voters who do want to go back when it comes to the economy specifically, because their groceries were less expensive, housing was more affordable when Donald Trump was president.
Well, let's start with the fact that when Joe Biden and I came in office, during the height of a pandemic, we saw over 10 million jobs were lost. People, I mean, literally, we were all tracking the numbers. Hundreds of people a day were dying because of COVID. The economy had crashed. In large part, all of that because of mismanagement by Donald Trump of that crisis. When we came in, our highest priority was to do what we could to rescue America, and today we know that we have inflation at under 3%. A lot of our policies have led to the reality that America recovered faster than any wealthy nation around the world. But you are right. Prices, in particular for groceries, are still too high. The American people know it, I know it. which is why my agenda includes what we need to do to bring down the price of groceries. For example, dealing with an issue like price gouging, what we need to do to extend the child tax credit to help young families be able to take care of their children in their most formative years, what we need to do to bring down the cost of housing. My proposal includes what would be a tax credit of $25,000 for first-time home buyers, so they can just have enough to put a down payment on a home, which is part of the American dream and their aspiration, but do it in a way that allows them to actually get on the path to achieving that goal and that dream.
So you have been vice president for 3.5 years.
Yeah.
The steps that you're talking about now, why haven't you done them already?
Well, first of all, we had to recover as an economy, and we have done that. I'm very proud of the work that we have done that has brought inflation down to less than 3%. The work that we have done to cap the cost of insulin at $35 a month for seniors. Donald Trump said he was going to do a number of things, including allowing Medicare to negotiate drug prices. Never happened. We did it. So now, as I travel in the state of Georgia and around our country, the number of seniors that have benefited. I was in Nevada recently, a grandmother who showed me her receipts. And before we capped the cost of insulin for seniors at $35 a month, she was paying hundreds of dollars, up to thousands of dollars a month for her insulin. She's not doing that anymore.
You maintain Bidenomics is a success.
I maintain that when we do the work of bringing down prescription medication for the American people, including capping the cost of the annual cost of prescription medication for seniors at $2,000, when we do what we did in the first year of being in office to extend the child tax credit so that we cut child poverty in America by over 50%, when we do what we have done to invest in the American people and bringing manufacturing back to the United States so that we created over 800,000 new manufacturing jobs, bringing business back to America, what we have done to improve the supply chain so we're not relying on foreign governments to supply American families with their basic needs, I'll say that that's good work. There's more to do, but that's good work.
I want to get some clarity on where you stand on some key policy issues. Energy is a big one. When you were in Congress, you supported the Green New Deal. And in 2019, you said, quote, "There is no question I'm in favor of banning fracking." Fracking, as you know, is a pretty big issue, particularly in your must-win state of Pennsylvania.
Sure.
Do you still want to ban fracking?
No, and I made that clear on the debate stage in 2020, that I would not ban fracking. As vice president, I did not ban fracking. As president, I will not ban fracking.
In 2019, I believe, in a town hall, you said you were asked, would you commit to implementing a federal ban on fracking on your first day in office? And you said, there's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. So yes. So it changed in that campaign?
In 2020, I made very clear where I stand. We are in 2024, and I've not changed that position, nor will I going forward. I kept my word, and I will keep my word.
What made you change that position at the time?
Well, let's be clear. My values have not changed. I believe it is very important that we take seriously what we must do to guard against what is a clear crisis in terms of the climate. And to do that, we can do what we have accomplished thus far. The Inflation Reduction Act, what we have done to invest, by my calculation, over probably $1 trillion over the next 10 years, investing in a clean energy economy. What we've already done, creating over 300,000 new clean energy jobs. That tells me, from my experience as vice president, we can do it without banning fracking. In fact, Dana, I cast the tie-breaking vote that actually increased leases for fracking as vice president. So I'm very clear about where I stand.
And was there some policy or scientific data that you saw that you said, oh, okay, I get it now?
What I have seen is that we can grow and we can increase a thriving clean energy economy without banning fracking.
Okay.
All right, y'all. So, okay, enough of that. So there was a question in there where she literally asked her about Trump's attack on her blackness. Right? Anyway, let's deal with this, our panel. Michael Imhotep, hosts African History Network show coming to us out of Detroit. Michael, glad to have you here. Kelly Bethea, communication strategist, joining us out of D.C. Folks, go to my iPad here. Zelina Maxwell actually posted this tweet. She said, I took notes to keep track of the questions in the Kamala interview. Only 4 questions weren't a GOP attack or talking point in the form of a question. How does this type of interview help voters understand her policies at all? Damn good question, Kelly.
It's a great question, and unfortunately, we don't have an answer for it. And as soon as I found out that Dana Bash was going to be conducting this interview, my heart sank, right? Because I was just so disappointed. And it was reflective of what we saw with the debate between Biden and Trump and how she moderated that debate. If you want to call it moderating, if anything, it was just, pushing propaganda. And it is disheartening to see somebody who has a storied history of good, solid journalism denigrating herself like this just for viewership purposes only. This was a bad interview, not because of the interviewee, but because of the interviewer. You have an obligation to get at the hard-hitting questions that Americans actually want to know. Americans don't know about the first 100 days. Americans don't know about the process for the first day of the presidency. You need actual policy questions. And frankly, it looked like Harris and Walz were ready for those questions. If I were a body language expert or anything along those lines, just looking at their posture, looking at how they were looking at Bash, they were annoyed. And I would be too.
Michael.
Yeah, Roland, I watched the interview twice, and Harris and Walz did an excellent job of handling themselves, answering the questions. They were not deep, insightful questions. I thought they may be more hard-hitting questions than what Dana Bash asked. A lot of the questions dealt with attacks from Republicans, things of this nature. But, what you would do on day one, yeah, I agree. That really is a dumb question because the cabinet, her cabinet will be approved by the Senate. OK, she has to nominate her cabinet. It has to be approved by the Senate. Number one. Number two, she can do executive orders on day one. We know Biden's first day in office, January 20th, 2021, he signed 10 executive orders. One of those was Executive Order 13985 that dealt with analyzing how policies from the federal government have perpetuated racism and coming up with solutions to address that. So, there were 6 million people who watched the interview. I wasn't sitting back waiting for mainstream media to interview Vice President Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. She speaks to thousands of people on a weekly basis at campaign rallies. She's been putting out policy platforms that are going to change people's lives. What this was about, you have mainstream media who really want to capitalize on an interview, dissect every word that she says. You have mediocre white men for the Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, things like this, writing op-eds, criticizing her for not doing interviews, things of this nature. So it's done. I'm looking forward to the September 10th debate, and I'm looking for the prosecutor to prosecute the criminal.
So the question that Dana asked, again, this is just me here. I loved her answer to it because she basically was like, I ain't entertaining this BS. Let me go ahead and play this one for y'all. Check this out.
About your opponent, Donald Trump. I was a little bit surprised. People might be surprised to hear that you have never interacted with him, met him face to face. That's going to change soon. But what I want to ask you about is what he said last month. He suggested that you happened to turn black recently for political purposes, questioning a core part of your identity.
Yeah.
Any
same old tired playbook. Next question, please.
That's it?
That's it.
About your opponent, Donald Trump. Okay. I was a little bit surprised. People might be surprised to hear that
we're
you
doing
have never
this.
Interacted with him, met him.
His next question.
That's going to change soon. But what I want to ask
an ass of a question.
Is what he said last month.
Let me say it again. It was an ass of a question.
Right.
And why is it an ass of a question? Because So, can you please comment on him questioning your blackness? Why was it an ass of a question, Kelly? Can you please comment on him questioning your maleness? Governor Walz. Hey, could you please comment, Vice President Harris, on the questioning of your womanness? Could you please comment on questioning your hair color choice? Vice President Harris, could you comment on why you wear more pantsuits than you wear skirts or dresses? No, and that's why it's an ass of a question. And I'm telling you right now, it drives me crazy. It absolutely drives me crazy when you could ask, because y'all let me know, because I didn't watch it. And it's nothing personal against Dana, but I don't watch CNN. But maybe y'all can help me out. Maybe y'all can help me out. Did Tyree Nichols and criminal justice reform come up during that interview?
No.
Okay. Okay. All right. So let me ask you. So the George Floyd Justice Act didn't come up in that interview, huh?
No.
Did the Supreme Court ruling regarding affirmative action come up in that interview?
No.
Okay. Did the Congo or South Sudan or Somalia or Ethiopia, did that come up in that interview?
Africa did not come up in the interview at all. Haiti did not come up in the interview at all.
That's interesting. I mean, was there even a question about saying, "Hey, Madam Vice President, your father is Jamaican. How do you see Jamaican-American relationships with you as president?" Did that come up in the interview?
No, but Roland, Palestine and Gaza came up in the interview. I mean, Palestine and Israel came up in the interview.
Well, of course it did. Of course it did. Of course it did.
Didn't.
I'm just. Hold on. Of course not. I'm just curious. Did, let's say, America be a nation, majority of people of color by 2043? How do you see advancing the economic interests of African Americans, other minorities? Did that come up in the interview?
There were no hard. No, it did not. And these were not hard-hitting questions. Wait, Follow
me here. See, I'm not. Here's why I even don't get up. I don't even get caught up in the hard-hitting questions, because I believe that you can ask important questions that are policy-oriented, that are not specific, that other folk wouldn't call hard-hitting. See, part of this media charade, and I'm gonna go to you, Kelly, then go to Michael. Part of this media charade, Kelly, is she needs to be asked the tough questions. She needs to be asked the difficult questions. No, she actually needs to be asked questions that are actually happening out there every single day in the world, such as, Madam Vice President, can I ask you a question? You had gotten a lot of criticism with regards to your call to dealing with price gouging. A Kroger executive admitted on the stand that they jacked up prices. Last year, Madam Vice President, there was that was an actual case where egg manufacturers admitted to collusion when it comes to pricing. That was an actual verdict. In fact, I'm just going to show y'all this here. Egg prices, y'all. Egg prices rose. Let me close this ad. Egg prices rose 60% in 2022 because a collusive scheme by suppliers. To me, that's not, Kelly, a hard-hitting question, but it does go to a policy issue that she raised, a pocketbook issue that people are concerned about, and may very well explain why prices have been jacked up, and people then go, oh, now I know why eggs were damn near $10 a dozen. Go ahead.
I think what you're talking about might be precisely why it took so long for Harris Walz' team and camp to agree to an interview of any kind, because the points that you're making, they've been saying on the campaign trail for weeks. The points that you're making have low-key been addressed to reporters in I don't know what the formal word is, but that time when she comes off the plane and you see the reporters talking to them, she addresses that there. But something tells me that she knew that once it was a national interview, that all of that would go out the window, and they would frankly debase themselves to the most of the simplistic questions being, like you said, what's your hair color? Why the tan suit? Why not skirts? Why not dresses? I mean, I was, the way that interview went, I was surprised that Dana didn't go so far as to say, you have a lovely figure. Why don't you just show it off? Because that was the tenor of the interview the entire time. There was no indication through that hour that something substantive was going to come out of it. For all we care, again, we could have heard this on the campaign trail. We have been hearing this on the campaign trail. They could have put out a press release and done this in less time and with less effort. Like I said, it was disappointing.
How about this?
Harris.
Right. How about this? Madam President, there are 140 million poor and working people in America. 73 million of these people are women. 68% of these people are African American. 66 million are white. And these poor and working class people make up 30 to 40% of the electorate, and many of them sit out elections. What will you do as president to speak to the needs and the interest of low and working class people? That's a better question than asking about, well, Donald Trump said this. What do you say, Michael?
Yeah, I agree, Roland. And when I used the term hard hitting, I didn't mean a gotcha question. I meant something that's insightful, a question that would cause people to come to answer that Vice President Kamala Harris would give, would cause people to really learn a lot more about her and her policies. That's what I meant when I used the term hard hitting. When the answer that she gave to the question about Donald Trump questioning her blackness, quote, same old tired playbook that she said, is what she said. When I took away from that, that also goes to another question that was asked, and she talked about turning the page on the last 10 years, because the last 10 years, especially dealing with with Trump in power and then also surrounding Trump, has been a divisiveness in this country, a nastiness in this country, and she's talking about turning a page on that, the othering of other people. So yeah, and her plans dealing with attacking price gouging, that came up a little bit. It could have, because of the case that's taken place to stop the merger of Kroger and Albertson, and what came out Tuesday in court dealing with price fixing. Okay, that should have come up. Dana Bash should have asked that question, I think.
In fact, if you're going to go that route, which you also say, President Biden has been extremely aggressive when it comes to his Federal Trade Commission and stopping a lot of these mergers and acquisitions that create monopolies.
Yes.
Will you, as president, continue to be just as aggressive as President Biden has been, or will you be more what some are called business friendly? See, substantive question. Yeah. Not sexy, not a gotcha, may not necessarily go viral, but that is a policy question that could have also potentially elicited a difference between her as president and Biden as president. So all I'm saying to folks is that just understand, to everybody who's watching, when you see these questions, these are questions that senior execs wanted and asked, things along those lines. They don't always dovetail with really what's happening out there in the real world. So, and we know you ain't gonna have no black questions come up. So I can guarantee you, when I get an interview with her, it's gonna be some black questions because that's what we do. But I don't like most of these interviews because it's a whole bunch of gobbledygook that doesn't mean anything. All right, y'all, hold on 1 second. We're going to come back, and I'm going to deal with a couple other things. We keep talking about this election. Donald Trump doing all he can to stay out of jail. Now he's trying to appeal his New York conviction to federal court. We'll talk about that when we come back. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered right here on the Black Star Network.
On the next A Balanced Life with me, Dr. Jackie, how to live the dream without it turning into a royal nightmare. We'll meet an entrepreneur couple who've been living the dream for nearly 30 years, and they're still going strong, speed bumps and all.
I was all one trying to hold back, but he thinks he can do anything. He's like, no, we're going to do it. You know, let's do it. Let's just jump into it. And it has worked.
It's a thing of beauty, literally. That's all next on A Balanced Life on Black Star Network.
Next on The Black Table with me, Greg Carr. We featured the brand new work of Professor Angie Porter, which, simply put, is a revolutionary reframing of the African experience in this country. It's the one legal article everyone, and I mean everyone, should read. Professor Porter and Dr. Valencia Watkins, our legal roundtable team, join us to explore the paper that I guarantee is going to prompt a major aha moment in our culture.
You crystallize it by saying, who are we to other people? Who are African people to others? Governance is our thing. Who are we to each other? The structures we create for ourselves, how we order the universe as African people.
That's next on The Black Table, here on the Black Star Network.
Hey, what's up? It's Sammy Roman.
Hey, it's John Murray, the executive producer of the new Sherry Shepherd Talk Show.
It's me, Sherry Shepherd, and you know what you're watching, Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Donald Trump, speaking of being an ass, made an ass of himself at Arlington National Cemetery earlier this week after they bum rushed a staffer there, then later called her mentally unstable. They've been criticized by a lot of veterans. The U.S. Army had to come out with a strong statement of rebuke of Trump's staffers. Well, the folks at Vote Vets, they were not happy at all by any of this. They dropped this ad.
We've got Trump on the run, scared. His insults about service members catching up with him. He's panicked. Losers and suckers, he called us, confirmed. Refusing to be seen with wounded warriors because it makes him queasy. Refusing to salute the fallen of World War I because he, quote, doesn't understand what was in it for them. Because he was afraid his dye job might run in the rain faster than he ran to a quack doctor when the draft board called his number. Comparing his sexploitations with the likes of Jeffrey Epstein to the sacrifice of those who went in his place to Vietnam. Now, maybe the greatest insult of all, turning a military cemetery visit into a political stunt with cameras in tow. In Section 60, one of the most hallowed acres of all, and when an Army civilian official told them they were breaking federal law that bans politics and campaign cameras, Trump thugs verbally and physically assaulted her. Disgusting. Donald Trump, the grave markers veterans and military families drop a knee to are not your political props. They represent the heroes we served alongside, men and women you could never measure up to. Friends who lived and died by the oath we all swore to uphold, something you will never understand, and why we're doing our damnedest to make sure no service member ever has to salute you as Commander-in-Chief ever again.
Yo, that is an ad right there. Major General retired Paul Eaton also talked to Vote Vets, and man, he did not hold back when it came to Donald Trump. Y'all, check this out.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Paul Eaton, Major General of the United States Army, retired. Every year, my wife and I pay our respects to the fallen in Arlington National Cemetery. Some were killed in action. Some have died of natural causes. It's a very emotive time for us. My father, Colonel Norman Eaton, and his co-pilot, Lieutenant Colonel Paul Getchell, commingled remains are in Section 60. The remains of Lieutenant Ken Ballard, dear son of a close friend, Karen Meredith, are in Section 60. We have stood next to people crying, paying their respects to their sons, daughters, fathers. It's a very emotive event. To see a former president mugging for the camera should never, ever be Commander-in-Chief again for the Armed Forces of the United States. Ever. Disgusting performance by former President Donald Trump. Thank you.
Strong words there, Michael.
Yes, they were strong words, Roland. And you know, this is something that didn't have to happen. This is another scandal dealing with Trump, on top of flip-flopping on campaign issues, things of this nature. But, you know, there's a piece from NBCnews.com that talks about the Army says a Trump aide, quote, abruptly pushed aside an Arlington National Cemetery employee. And then the Trump campaign put out that the employee had some type of mental issue or something like that as well. We know the employee doesn't want to press charges, but this is utilizing dead soldiers, okay, for the purpose to promote the Trump campaign. Because they shot video. Now, they didn't just take pictures. They also shot video there as well, and they're using this as part of the Trump campaign. So this is, and this is from a president who got 5 deferments, okay, who nobody in his family has ever served in the military. And this is somebody who doesn't understand the sacrifice that those who serve in the military make, their families make, and those who give the ultimate price make as well, regardless of whether you agree with the mission or the war, anything like that. So this is another example why he can never become president again.
Oh, absolutely. In a moment, I'm going to play for y'all this almost 8-minute video that they put together. And let me tell you something. It is a strong video. It's a strong video, Kelly, because they also lay out what will happen when it comes to Project 2025. Again, if Donald Trump goes back into the White House. And so he's always trying to tout how he loves the military, he loves veterans, but it's not necessarily the case. As you heard the retired General Eaton said, used as props. And so people need to understand the dangers that are in place if this, frankly, wannabe dictator, this just moral degenerate is back in the Oval Office.
Yeah, I mean, the most recent scandal of 45 and the issue with the cemetery, Arlington Cemetery, I mean, it's beyond disgusting to me. I come from a family of veterans. I come from a family who are currently in the military. I thank them for their service every time that I get. But to see a former president be that disrespectful on hallowed ground, it's just sickening to me. But to your point about him not caring about the military, I don't think he cares about people. and that is clear in his rhetoric, that is clear in his policies. He says that he loves the military. I don't think that's the case at all. I think he associates victory with the military. He loves the ego trip that comes when you win something. He likes winning. He likes the ego boost of winning. He likes the ego boost of victory. And he ties that with military conquest.
But he also
right?
loves Kelly. But Kelly, remember, he also loves the pageantry. Remember how he raved about the military parades of Kim Jong-un? And remember, he wanted that in D.C. Remember, he wanted, and it's like, dude, you just can't roll tanks on U.S. streets. Do you know how heavy they are? The damage they cause? He wanted one of those old Russian, I'm going to try to find the video, one of those old Russian military parades where they got the missiles and the tanks and they got all that stuff, and he gets to stand there in the middle of the generals. That's what he wants.
Dictators do. That's what dictators do.
But all of that is. But my point to that, Roland, you're right about what he wants and what he said he wanted. But all of that is tied to ego. All of that is tied to the perception of power. So that's where I'm getting at with it. If he could find a way to not use the tanks and still get the same response out of people regarding the perceived power, the perceived ego boost. I mean, all of this is tied to his ego. This is why he's obsessed with crowd sizing. This is why he was obsessed with virility and how agile he was as opposed to Biden. That's why he was debating Biden on a political stage regarding golfing. It's all about his ego. It's all about a perceived notion of power. And that's what I mean when I say that he doesn't care about the military. He doesn't care about people. He cares about whatever it takes to make himself feel bigger than what he actually is.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and that's exactly what in fact, let me play this here. I mean, this is really what he wanted in D.C. This right here, this is what Donald Trump wanted. He wanted to be able to, somebody on YouTube said Donald Trump wants the soldiers to goose step right past him. And this is what he wanted. I mean, he was talking about that. And also keep in mind, he still owes Washington, D.C. about $9 million for that, whatever that 4th of July display was. He still ain't paid that bill. And so that's what he wants. He doesn't respect. He doesn't respect. Well, he can actually pay for it from all the damn donations, but the money's been used on his legal fees, and he's sitting here, screwing those folks over. Let me do this here, folks. The folks at Vote Bets also put together. Yeah. No, actually, he's robbing some toothless person with a "Make America Great Again" red hat running around who believes that don't trust my guy, and he wouldn't let any of these broke ass white folks even walk through his hotel. They couldn't even get into the lobby, but they're sitting here just worshiping this man. The folks at Votes Bets put together this video, y'all, that they went through Project 2025 and laid out how devastating this plan could be to the nation's military. Check it out.
Project 2025.
Project 2025.
Project 2025. Project 2025. Project 2025. Deeper look at Project 2025.
You've probably heard about Project 2025. The 900-page manifesto drawn up by Donald Trump's MAGA allies to radically remake our country. It's worth knowing about as you think about your vote, because this election is not just a choice of candidates. It's really a choice of the kind of country you would like to live in. Project 2025 is the MAGA Republican playbook to go around the Constitution, the Congress, and the courts to take total control of our government, using it to enforce their ideology on our lives. The thing is, it's eminently doable. They've been planning this for years, and we'll be ready to go on day one should Donald Trump be elected. Let's look a little deeper at a section that's been overlooked in the media. Their plan to radically remake our military. If one were to write a credible roadmap to transform our democracy into a dictatorship, this is what it would look like. And a big part of that is to turn the most effective, professional, and nonpartisan fighting machine that the world has ever seen into Trump's MAGA military force, ready, willing, and able to deploy against our fellow citizens should Trump issue an illegal order. It achieves this goal in 4 steps. First, it corruptly uses the power of the presidency to fire flag officers, generals, admirals, and so on, who they deem not sufficiently loyal to Trump. Second, it stops promoting anyone in the military who doesn't pledge allegiance to their agenda. Third, it obliterates military readiness programs that ensure our diverse forces know how to work together. Fourth, it actively recruits troops who may have been targeted for radicalization by white supremacists. And then, it enables the use of the Insurrection Act to deploy the military inside the country against political opponents, protesters, or just about anyone Donald Trump chooses. That's a lot. So let's walk through it. The first step in creating a military that is loyal to Trump and carries out whatever order Trump gives, legal or not, is to remove all obstacles at the top. That means clearing out generals, admirals, and others who would refuse to carry out illegal orders in accordance with the Constitution. Trump himself has made it clear.
I would fire them. You can't have woke military.
Project 2025 calls troops who follow the Constitution Marxist and says they are Barack Obama's General Officer Corps. Well, I served in uniform for over 30 years, following my father's footsteps, and my family still serves today. I can assure you that there aren't many Marxists in the military. So who are they looking to fire? Anyone who is loyal to the Constitution above all. Once they clear out top ranks, they will only promote MAGA loyalists. They falsely claim that promotions under previous administrations were illegitimate, and that the antidote is to freeze promotions, even if people are in line and qualified, unless they are MAGA loyalists. That clears way for Trump to move his hand-picked people into key military leadership positions in acting roles, sidestepping any Senate confirmation vote. And who might he choose? We're talking about people like disgraced retired Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, who pled guilty to lying to the FBI in a Russian influence case, but was pardoned by Trump.
General Flynn, he's some general, he's some man. He took abuse like nobody could have handled, and he came out bigger, better, stronger than ever before. We love him. He's a leader. And you just stay wealthy and healthy and well and everything. I want you to have great lives in general. You just have to stay healthy because we're bringing you back. We're going to bring you back.
We're talking about retired Brigadier General Don Bolduc, a 2020 election denier who called for abolishing the FBI. Project 2025 then radically changes the culture of service. The report spills a lot of ink falsely arguing that the military spends most of its time on social engineering, Marxist indoctrination, critical race theory, and diversity, equity, and inclusion. It bashes transgender service members and kicks them out of the military. Anyone who has worn the country's uniform knows there is no Marxist indoctrination or social engineering going on. So what are they talking about? They're referring to programs that train our diverse armed forces how to respect each other and work together. This is key to unit cohesion and readiness. It's really a matter of life and death on the battlefield. They would abolish this training in order to remake a diverse fighting force into a political, homogenous MAGA military. Finally, Project 2025 curiously stresses the need to reward 8,400 troops who were discharged for refusing orders to be vaccinated against COVID during the pandemic. It rewards them with back pay and full restoration of rank to lure them back. Wonder why? Well, far-right conspiracy groups and white nationalists have spent years targeting people who are anti-vaccine to recruit and radicalize. They bury them in anti-government propaganda and MAGA conspiracy theories. These are not people you want to hand a military weapon to and hope for the best. So, how might President Trump use this MAGA military? Well, we don't have to guess. Think back to when he ordered his staff to deploy the military to shoot protesters demanding justice for George Floyd's murder. Just shoot them in the legs, he ordered. Unfortunately, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs and his Secretary of Defense rightfully told him no.
What specifically was he suggesting that the U.S. military should do to these protesters?
He says,
Can't you just shoot them? Just shoot them in the legs or something. And he's suggesting that that's what we should do, that we should bring in the troops and shoot the protesters.
Donald Trump learned that when people are loyal to the rule of law and the U.S. Constitution, they can stop him. He won't make that mistake again. Project 2025's own architect has warned us that violence may be used against anyone who gets in their way.
We are going to win. We're in the process of taking this country back. We are in the process of the Second American Revolution, which will remain bloodless if the left allows it to be.
From shooting Americans in the street if they protest, to sending the military door to door looking for immigrants to round up, to putting troops into domestic law enforcement roles akin to martial law, Project 2025 would empower all of Trump's worst instincts. The good news is the choice is in our hands. Your vote this fall makes the difference. And it's not just about the top of the ticket. We need to vote for candidates up and down the ballot who will block Project 2025 from ever becoming our nightmare reality. And we need to talk about it with friends, family, and neighbors. That's how we hold fast to an America where democracy rings free, where the people rule and the elected serve, where the government values our rights and protects our freedoms. And an America that continues to say, if you're willing and able to serve, there is a place for you in our armed forces. A military that still swears an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. It's up to us. Thank you.
See, I love the fact that you have veterans who are sick and tired of Republicans cloaking themselves in the flag and calling them out on their BS. And I think that's why videos like this, Michael and Kelly, are crucial because what they do is they allow folks, you can't try to question their service. You can't try to question their commitment, even though we know these folks try to do that. We see that with Governor Tim Walz. They're trying with Governor Wes Moore. But it's great to see that level of detailed pushback from veterans, Michael.
Yeah, it is. And he went through and broke down that aspect of Project 2025. He talked about the Insurrection Act of 1807 and how it could be employed. I'm glad you showed the video of Mark Esper talking about Donald Trump wanting to shoot George Floyd protesters, okay, as well. So this gives more insight. I know it's 922 pages, and a lot of people said, and in some speeches, Vice President Kamala Harris jokingly says, can you believe they wrote this down? Yes, I can believe they wrote this down because this is the second time the Heritage Foundation has done this. They did this in 1980, and it was a book called Mandate for Leadership that contained 2,000 policies they wanted the Reagan administration to adopt. The Reagan administration adopted 64% of those policies in Reagan's first term. So and it's good that you have older white men who are breaking this down, who have military experience also, okay? And when he talked about Project 2025 attacking diversity, equity, and inclusion when it comes to the military. September 2020, Donald Trump signed an executive order banning the use of critical race theory when it came to training for federal employees. And that is what really sparked the attack on critical race theory. That was 6 months before Christopher Rufo did his series of tweets redefining what critical race theory was. See, that was March 2021. So this is excellent right here. We need to utilize this. We need to circulate this.
And here's the thing here, Kelly. This is a video where the leader of Project 2025 makes clear that without Donald Trump, this doesn't exist. Watch this, and I want to get your comment.
Well, I suspect this project wouldn't exist if we didn't have the Trump administration, where you had a new maverick candidate who didn't have the machinery of the party necessarily like lining up and everybody from previous administrations helping out. And so you had this situation where it became clear that something like this is very necessary.
Well, that's quite true. I would say even more necessary in kind of the circumstances you describe, because even a we'll call it an establishment candidate where everybody just sort of wanders back in, but they're not particularly conservative, then they're more open, they know what to do more, there's less chaos, but they're less likely to actually seek to implement conservative policies. So there's a trade-off there, and we're trying to overcome the downside of that trade-off.
So when I suspect this...
You heard him. There's a trade-off there. Kelly?
It is terrifying to me that this could possibly actually happen, because it would truly be the end of how America is perceived, how America functions as we know it. The reason why those people think that but for Trump, this would not be happening is because, frankly, he's the only quasi-politician, because he's not even a full-fledged politician, let's be honest. He is the only vessel who would be dumb enough to enact this and think it's not going to affect him, that it's not going to affect his families, etc. So it is imperative that people understand that this is not a joke. And you should also take into consideration with this ad in particular that, yes, they are veterans, but note how you don't know what their political party is. You don't know what their ideologies are. All you know is that they are against Project 2025. And the reason for that is Project 2025 is anti-American. And when you're talking about a group of people being veterans whose lives have been dedicated to protecting the America that we know, that people love, that people respect, for all of these people to be on board and be like, I don't know what this is, but it's not American, that should tell you something. That should tell you something.
Indeed, indeed. All right, folks, hold tight 1 second. We come back. I want to talk about this case out of Louisiana. And if you want to understand why federal courts are so important, you want to understand why there's a difference between a President Kamala Harris or a Donald Trump in the Oval Office. Y'all know I can never call that man president. So I'm going to use every other iteration possible. It's what happened out of Louisiana and the extremely conservative U.S. Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. I will explain that next right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Hey, folks, do not forget, support the work that we do. It is critically important. And so we really appreciate if you would join our Bring the Funk fan club. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contribute on average $50 each a year. That's $4.19 a month, 13 cents a day. That allows for us to be able to do the stories that we do, cover this stuff. Folks, understand our expenses are real. $195,000 a month. Office space and staff and salaries and all these things that go with it. And it's real. And so we're out here doing our work. We generate revenue through YouTube. We generate revenue selling merchandise. We generate revenue, which, of course, trying to get additional advertisers. But again, your donations are critically important. Next Thursday, I'm going to travel to Kansas City to get an update on our Roll-Mobile 2.0. Remember, our Sprinter was total when this driver cut in front of my driver returning from Essence Festival. So we're going to get an update on that. And so, again, that's going to cost us about $180,000. And first of all, we got insurance. We had insurance on it, sent us a check, but we actually had to have some modifications, some better safety modifications. It was going to cost a lot more. So it's all real. And so when you support us, that's what you're supporting. And what I love about all of y'all, all of our fans, and when I started this 6 years ago, I said, hey, we're not going to send you swag because, listen, all that stuff is going to cost money. So hats and mugs and T-shirts and all this sort of stuff like that. And I dare say fewer than 100 people have complained that, well, what am I getting? What am I getting? Y'all, when you contribute, you know that money is being invested right into the show. And so we really want you to support that work and what we're doing. And so, again, it's absolutely critically important when you do. And so we're doing the best that we can with our resources. And trust me, it's no joke. We've got, my show. We've got, of course, we have other shows on the network that we do the work. And so we do all of that. And so, of course, Wealthy You, Balanced Living, you know, Greg Carr's show. We've got Stephanie Humphrey's show. We're going to be starting new episodes. My little man Noah out of Atlanta. Y'all been seeing that young brother. Matter of fact, let me pull it up. I want to pull up here because some of y'all may have missed the news, but no, don't show it yet. Don't show it yet. Don't show that yet. I don't want you to show it yet. But I ran into. Okay, all right. Let's see what happened here. Sorry, y'all. Something happened here. There we go. We got me back, I think. Y'all got me back? There we go. Sorry. All right. So y'all might have seen my man Noah. He's out of Atlanta. Little young brother. He was of course on the show with us in Chicago. And so next month, y'all, we're going to be starting a new show with him. Sorry, for some reason the video is not working. I'm gonna get this straight. But Noah is gonna be working with us. Can't wait to make it happen. And so his 12-year-old kid is gonna start off as a weekly show, and he's ready to roll. And so again, that's what we're doing. I'm looking for I would love to do add a couple of the shows, a young, vibrant female, millennial, Gen Z to do a show, and it's because it's all about, again, this platform was created to provide additional voices, but your support makes all that possible. So join our Bring the Funk fan club. Send your check and money order to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. Cash App, $RM Unfiltered. PayPal, R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, RolandSMartin.com, RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. Folks, we'll be right back.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds. An angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol. We've seen We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
Hello, I'm Paula J. Parker. Truly proud on the Proud Family.
I am Tommy Davidson. I play Oscar on Proud Family, Louder and Proud.
Hi, I'm Jo Marie Payton, voice of Sugar Mama on Disney's Louder and Prouder, Disney Plus. And I'm with Roland Martin on Unfiltered.
So why do presidential elections matter? Why the U.S. Senate races matter? Because the president is the one who picks federal judges. It is the job of the Senate to confirm them or to deny them. Well, guess what? In Louisiana, in 11-7 decision, the 5th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in New Orleans, they said that a lower court judge erred in requiring that Louisiana prove it had erased, quote, the vestiges of past discrimination before ending the so-called Chisholm Decree. Circuit Judge Kurt Engelhardt said this unexpected burden was impossible to satisfy, and it was enough that Louisiana satisfied the 8 remedial measures in the 1992 decree, which required a single majority-minority district in Orleans Parish. One of the dissenting judges, Circuit Judge Jacques Wiener, said the evidence of compliance was simply not there. Louisiana also refused to commit to ensuring a majority-minority district after the decree was dissolved. This right here is really, really important, Michael, because again, the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals is extremely, extremely conservative. And that Fifth Circuit, I just want to show folks so they understand why it matters. I understand the Fifth Circuit because I am from Texas. That's one of the states that the Fifth Circuit actually covers. And as I said, extremely, extremely conservative circuit. There are 17 judges in the Fifth Circuit. And who is the circuit judge that they actually report to? Sam Alito. Republicans have always understood how vital the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals always has been. And so when you look at this ruling and when you look at other rulings as well, then you begin to understand the Fifth Circuit. This right here is their website. These are the states that fall under the Fifth Circuit. Louisiana's Eastern, Middle, and Western districts. Mississippi, the Northern and Southern districts. Texas, the Eastern, Northern, Southern, and Western districts. Those three states. So when you talk about laws, cases that come out of those states, the Fifth Circuit rules in them, and that, Michael, is crucially important.
Absolutely, and you're correct that Republicans have always been much better in understanding the power of the courts, how the courts work, the federal court, Court of Appeals, U.S. Supreme Court. Those three states that you just showed, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Texas, those are all former Confederate states as well. They had very large slave populations. So this is another reason why we have to have political education, master and understand political self-defense. And in looking at the court ruling, the piece from Reuters, it talks about the Fifth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in New Orleans said a lower court judge erred in requiring Louisiana to prove it had erased, quote, the vestiges of past discrimination before ending the so-called Chisholm decree. So once again, this also ties into history, right? And really understanding Louisiana, 1/3 population African-American. We see what Governor Landry has been doing down there. You've had Gary Chambers on here a number of times talking about Louisiana. This is the consequence of voting and not voting strategically as well. So this is extremely important that we're talking about this.
This right here is a story from April of last year. Kelly, Biden nominates Texas judge for conservative-leaning Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. Listen, they don't actually get many shots at that. So perfect example. He named Irma Carrillo Ramirez. She would be the first Hispanic woman and the only active Hispanic judge on the court. And so understand in terms of what's going on there. You see right here. There are 12 of, so there are 16 active judges, Kelly, the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. 12 of the Fifth Circuit's 16 active judges were appointed by Republican presidents. 12. That means just of the 17, 5 appointed by a Democratic president.
And that's what's so scary about this, right? And you've been talking about this till your head turns blue, Roland, every time we address the issue of appointing judges. This is why elections matter. This is why your vote matters, because it's more than just having a talking head in the White House representing us across the globe. No, a huge part of being president is appointing judges that will affect you long after that president is in office. And you see that now. Like, how long have those judges been there in the Fifth Circuit? right? We just got one through Biden, like you said, for the Fifth Circuit. These are lifetime appointments, so it matters. All of this matters. So this ruling does not surprise me, only because of the history of the Fifth Circuit being racist, sexist, pick-and-ism. They try to uphold it all, right? But this is also why elections matter, because it is possible to change the tide of how that court makes rulings.
Let's talk about, again, the election and what we're seeing, and the entrance of Vice President Kamala Harris has totally changed this game. The Land Journal-Constitution has this story right here, Kelly, that is huge. Presidential race shakeup sharply increases voter registrations in Georgia. Black women, Kelly, added 75% more registrations than in the same period in 2020. And look at this lead right here. New voters have registered in droves in Georgia since Kamala Harris entered the presidential race, especially black, Hispanic, and young voters, according to state election data. The sharp increase in the rate of registrations suggests an outpouring of enthusiasm among voters who tend to vote for Democratic candidates in Georgia, a politically divided battleground that could decide the winner between Harris and Republican former President Donald Trump. I saw another story, Kelly, that talked about in one area the voter registration of black women was up 175%. When you're talking about an election that is a margin election, these new voters, they absolutely matter.
They really do. And it is incredible to see that, published, seeing the proof that that black women, that people in general are just, registering to vote and seeing that increase in voters, right? But it also goes to show, I have to give credit to the Harris-Walz campaign team, specifically the strategist, because I can't remember the man's name, but the deputy director or the deputy campaign manager basically talked about how it is necessary to go into jurisdictions that typically aren't addressed and seen because they feel like they're not going to win that district anyway. They're not going to vote our way anyway, so there's no point in going. But this particular deputy director, who was also responsible for the Warnock win, understands that if you are really for all Americans, you got to go to where all Americans are, right? And this articles like this, data like this is proof that that strategy works best.
Well, it's first of all, you're talking about Quentin Folks, who was the deputy campaign manager.
Yes.
And so, yeah, I got you. When you look at these numbers, Michael, it is important because what you're seeing is the type of focus, the type of attention that is happening all across this country, and Democrats now have significantly closed the voter registration gap. Tom Bonnier was the one who was on CBS talking about 175%, and he posted a tweet. He said, somewhat incredibly, the number of young Hispanic women registering in the week after Vice President Harris effectively became the nominee was triple the number of registrants during the same period in 2020. Black women registration more than doubled. This is the chart right here. He's showing those numbers. So you see, so if I zoom in here, so you see down here, Republican, AAPI, Democrat men total, women, black 63.7, black women 83.9. This is just in Nevada. Hispanic 91.9. 1829, 106.6. Black women 1829, 125%. Hispanic women 125.4. Women 1829, 129.5. Hispanic women 18 to 29, 221%. What that says right here, Michael, is that Vice President Kamala Harris, she's going to be kicking off this reproductive rights tour in Florida. She is speaking the language that is attracting them. And what have I been constantly saying? When millennials, and Gen Zs. When they vote their numbers, they can decide elections. And so, again, when you go back to this chart right here, and I'm looking at the bottom right here, I'm looking at total 1829, black women 1829, women 1829, Hispanic 1829. We're talking more than between 106% and 221%. This is just in Nevada. That's a battleground state. That can determine who wins.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this is dealing with more than just enthusiasm. This is dealing with Vice President Kamala Harris speaking directly to issues that are impacting Gen Z, millennials. We can talk about Generation X as well. When you talk about housing, you talk about building 3 million new homes. When you talk about her rolling out her economic plan on Friday, August 16th. This is why This is why I was not calling for her to have a sit-down interview with the media. She's speaking directly to voters. Okay, you look at the rally in Savannah, Georgia yesterday. You look at the 2-day tour of Georgia that she just came off of, going into rural areas. That's extremely important because what it does is, one, it draws media attention, it draws thousands of people to come out, but also what it does is it forces the Trump campaign to put resources into areas they didn't think they were going to have to try to defend. Okay, so this is speaking and this goes back to something I was saying right before Biden dropped out. The Congressional Black Caucus have been calling on President Joe Biden for months to shift the focus from talking about saving the democracy and abortion to also talking about kitchen table issues, fighting inflation, things of this nature, okay? This is exactly what Vice President Kamala Harris is doing. This is why it's resonating so much. Yes, saving the democracy and women's reproductive rights are extremely important, but also affordable housing is extremely important, fighting price gouging as well. All of this is important. So we're seeing the result.
In fact, this was the actual tweet. I'm going to my iPad, y'all. This was the tweet that Tom actually posted right here, where he said the Harris effect in the 13 states that have updated voter files since July 21st, we're seeing incredible surges in voter registration relative to the same period in 2024, driven by women, voters of color, and young voters. So this is overall. Before I showed you Nevada, and you see this. And so this is, you see over here, the far right, where he got that 175%. But you see Hispanic women, 1829, 149%. Black women, 98.4. Black, 85.8. And you see it going down there. And so the bottom line here is that when you look at this election, this is going to be an election on the margins. And I hope people are paying lots more attention to these numbers. But we got to remember, no matter where you are, you have got to be pushing folks if they must register. And again, get them to understand that, hey, if they even are on the fence, fine, still register, because once the deadline is passed, that's it. And so beginning on Tuesday, we're off on Monday for Labor Day, but beginning on Tuesday, we are going to be showing you and providing for you the registration deadlines in every single state. We're going to be posting that on social as well, because we need people to understand what's happening. And understand, early voting begins in some places in less than 20 days. And so we got to understand that we are in the prime of the election season, and we all must be ready to get this thing going. Let me go to a break. I'll be right back right here, Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Support the work that we do. Join Bring the Funk Fan Club. Send your check and money order. P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037-0196. Cash App, $RM Unfiltered. PayPal, R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Y'all know y'all ain't getting this information anywhere else. Nowhere else. There's nobody else in black-owned media that's breaking down the stuff that we do every single day, 5 days a week, 2 hours a day on this show, plus our other shows. And so y'all see what we're doing to make this thing happen. And so please join our Bring the Funk fan club. Everybody who's already given during the show and who will give between the next 30 minutes, I'm going to personally shout you out right here on the show, okay? So, again, Cash App, $RM Unfiltered, PayPal, R Martin Unfiltered, Venmo is RM Unfiltered, Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Back in a moment.
Now streaming on the Black Star Network.
I still have my NFL contract in my house. I have it in a case. It's 4 of them, my 4-year contract. I got a $600,000 signing bonus. My base salary for that first year was $150,000. Matter of fact,
$150,000.
$150,000. That's what I made. $150,000. Now think about it. My signing bonus was a forgivable loan, supposedly. When I got traded to the Colts, they made me pay back my signing bonus to them. I had to give them their $600,000 back.
Wow.
Yeah, I was so pissed. Because, I try to be a man of my word. I'm like, you, I'll give you your money back. Even though I know I earned that money,
right.
I gave them their money back. I gave them $600,000 back. But yet, I was this malcontent. I was a bad guy. I'm about the money. It wasn't about the money. It was about doing right. Because I looked at, because you look at contract. Look at John Elway. John Elway was making $1 million, $800,000. I was making $150,000. I was doing everything. And I'm like, but yet I got so many letters, so I just play for free and all that kind of stuff. You don't forget that kind of stuff.
Right.
That stuff is hurtful.
Sherry Shepard with Sammy Roman.
I'm Dr. Robin B., pharmacist and fitness coach, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Y'all, welcome back. Oh, Lord, the white folks at Fox News, they are in their feelings because of my commentary, my tweet earlier this week to Auburn coach Bruce Pearl. So check this out, y'all. So somebody sent me this today. Former CNN contributor tells black players not to join Auburn's basketball team under Bruce Pearl. First of all, Fox News, Scott Thompson, you might want to learn to fact check, because my damn name ain't Ronald Martin. It's Roland Martin. He goes, Ronald Martin believes Pearl's political beliefs should lead players to choose accordingly. And so then he goes in the article, okay, and he goes, former CNN contributor Ronald Martin, that ain't my damn name, because Pearl put out this tweet calling Vice President Kamala Harris a socialist. He also said her view, said that, with her woke policies, and so all this sort of stuff. And so again, I said what I said. He goes, this post led Martin to tweet his own plea to recruits not to join the Tigers head coach because of his public views, specifically black players. Hey, Scott, you damn right I said what I said. If you got a basketball coach in the South, in Alabama, in Bruce Pearl, let's be real clear. he ain't got no team without black players. And he's calling Vice President Kamala Harris a socialist. He's sitting here talking about her woke agenda. Hell yeah, I'm saying to black parents, don't send your kid to Auburn. I wouldn't want my kid under him. This right here, y'all, is a tweet he posted. And he was responding to, of course, that ignorant racist Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas. To Bruce Pearl, thank you for pointing this out, Senator Cotton, except my guess is that, like many of her socialist, woke, progressive beliefs, she's now changing them or hiding them to get elected. We won't get fooled again. And, of course, I said to all black players and their parents considering Auburn, this is the trash Coach Bruce Pearl tweets. There are many other SEC schools to consider. Choose accordingly. Then you got Pastor, you got Daryl Scott who goes, but Steve Curry and Steph Curry are good to go, huh? First of all, Daryl Scott, Daryl, I'm going to call you out every single time. Steve Kerr is a professional. He's an NBA head coach. Steph Curry is a professional. He's a basketball player. The fact of the matter is, here you have Bruce Pearl, who's criticizing, who's criticizing Vice President Kamala Harris. And so he is going into the homes of black people. He's going into the homes of black parents, recruiting their sons, saying, oh, I'll take care of your son. I'll be like a second father to them. All sort of stuff like that. I'll make sure they graduate. So, yeah, Pastor Daryl Scott, it's a big-ass difference between the two. And so I'm telling you right now, Michael, if I had a nephew and he was a top basketball player, I'll be real clear. I say, bro, man, it's one school we ain't visiting, and that's Auburn.
Yeah, I agree, Roland. And, Coach Bruce Pearl, his comments attacking Vice President Kamala Harris, calling her policy woke, calling some of her policies socialist, things like that. What's woke about wanting to build 3 million homes so that people can have affordable homes to live in, so they can build generational wealth? What's woke about wanting to go after corporations that inflate prices and drive up inflation, so it makes it hard for people to afford food and basic needs? And my question would be, okay, so are you a Trump supporter? Okay, Bruce Pearl, are you supporting down? If you're attacking her and you're not going to vote for Vice President Kamala Harris, okay, who is for defending the Constitution against enemies both foreign and domestic, then are you a Trump supporter? And no way in hell I would send my black son to go play on a team led by a coach who's a Trump supporter, because you're supporting an insurrectionist. You're supporting someone who was found liable of sexually abusing women. You're supporting a convicted felon who committed fraud. So, yeah, and I know, there's a saying, we all look alike, but damn, Fox News, all the money you have, I know you lost $787 million in that lawsuit. Because of the lies that you told dealing with the 2020 election. But it's Roland Martin. Get the name straight. Put some respect on his name.
Kelly, what you have is, and this is really the case, I think, a lot more in college. You got a lot of these white coaches in college who are hardcore conservatives, and they love making their money off black folks, but then they also want to trash views. You look at Tommy Tuberville, of course, who was a head coach. Oh, guess where was he a football coach? Auburn. Okay, yeah, and he's one of the dumbest people in the United States Senate. And you have this, and so I don't give a damn what Scott Thompson, y'all, his Twitter handle is Scotty T Sports. I'm about to send his ass a tweet saying, learn how to spell my damn name. Plus, you can't be that bright when you're linking to my tweet in the article, and my tweet actually got my name spelled, and you still writing Ronald. So he calls himself a Jersey kid. Well, you might want to revisit your education, Scotty. Go ahead, Kelly.
Something tells me that he said Ronald on purpose. That is always, to me, a blatant form of disrespect, especially with name recognition such as yours. Your name's everywhere. It's very easy to find your name, very easy to see how to spell your name. So to see that is a byline that actually got published, I think that's just a level of disrespect that they purposely put out there. So that aside, the notion of, deterring Black parents away from Auburn, I think it has less to do with just political stuff, and it's a safety issue at this point, right? Because we have gotten to the point in our politics where if you align yourself with 45, if you align yourself with the MAGA movement, that is a threat to your life by way of being Black, right? And we see that. We saw that in Charlottesville. We saw that with the insurrection. We see that in little microcosms across the country, these examples of MAGA supporters who are not just racist, but aggressively so, to the point where your life could potentially be in danger by a result of their conduct. I don't have any children, but I wouldn't want my child susceptible to that. Certainly not from a coach who I am entrusting my child's care with, right? This is a safety issue above politics.
Oh, absolutely. Again, I'm saying exactly what's important. That is, if you want to step your behind out here and talk about this stuff, well, guess what? We're going to respond as well. And so I say to Black parents, if you got a top basketball player, it's a lot of other schools you can pick. And he did an interview, Bruce Pearl did, talking about, Auburn is a leaning conservative school. It's a place where we have respect and love God. Guess what? Y'all can go to a lot of HBCUs in Alabama where y'all can proudly wear your Stay Woke shirts as opposed to dealing with that fool. Let's go to Georgia, where the two Black women who successfully sued Rudy Giuliani, they like, run me my money. That's exactly what they're saying, because they're making it clear, hey, it's time for you to pay up. And they want to start seizing his assets. Lawyers for Ruby Freeman and Wandrea Shea Moss, they have urged the U.S. District Court in Manhattan to force Giuliani to turn over his Madison Avenue apartment, any remaining cash, some of his prized New York Yankees memorabilia, including 3 World Series rings and a signed Joe DiMaggio shirt. They also want to claim about $2 million Giuliani has said Donald Trump's 2020 presidential campaign owes him. They also asked for control of his Palm Beach, Florida condominium. Of course, Rudy Giuliani targeted the mother and daughter after Trump's 2020 election loss, accusing them of election fraud. Kelly, I want them to leave Rudy Giuliani butt-ass naked.
Well, I don't need that image of Giuliani naked in my head, but I will say penniless.
I don't need it.
I don't need it.
I want to put his drawers and socks on eBay.
That's nasty. No, I don't need that. I don't need that visual. I don't need that visual. That's pineapples. No. But I will say that, like you said, I can't even talk. Like you said just now, run these women their money, because they went through the ringer for absolutely no reason. And, I teach on part-time regarding Comms law, and this is like typical of and basically like a textbook case of private versus public citizen. These are private citizens private figures who were literally minding their business, doing their job, when some public figure decided to exploit them for absolutely no reason with malice, and all of that was proven in court. Where's the money? Where's the money? He has it, find it, and give it to him. That's it. That's all. But we don't need any visuals of Giuliani of naked draws. None of that. It was hard enough for me to see the black paint drip down on his head. That was it. That's my limit. That's
butt ass naked. Let me tell you something. Listen, Michael. Every time he posts a video, every time he posts where he's gonna be somewhere, they need to have somebody right there. And if he's signing stuff, they should just walk over and be like, we got it. We got it. Just snatch money out of his hands. They should be standing right there saying, no, take that. I'm telling you, snatch everything. Sell everything. I don't give a damn. He can go live with his ex-wife. He can go, I think he got 3 or 4 ex-wives. And didn't he marry his cousin? Did Rudy Giuliani marry his cousin?
But he has
so make him go back and live with her.
Well, you know, Roland, he should. Well, first of all, Rudy Giuliani did a skit some years ago with Donald Trump where Rudy Giuliani was in drag. So Rudy Giuliani could have a new career as a drag queen. Okay, he had on makeup, he had on a wig, he had on makeup, he had on a wig, he had on a dress. So Rudy Giuliani could raise money to pay Shay Moss and Ruby Freeman. He can go on a national drag queen tour, make it a review, team up with RuPaul. You know, make a career out of it. You know, this is a whole new career for him. You reinvent yourself, Rudy. Okay. So yeah, they need to get every penny from this traitor, from this liar, from this fraud who put their lives in jeopardy. Okay. And you know, and Donald Trump owes Rudy Giuliani $2 million. Donald Trump, he owes so many people money. So yeah, Rudy needs to get his money from Donald Trump. Donald Trump needs to sell some more of those cheap ass sneakers and some more of these digital cards and things like that to help Rudy pay Shay Moss and Ruby Freeman.
See,
but Rudy,
and I
Rudy,
know,
you don't have to give me a percentage.
I know,
for
Kelly,
the drag queen idea. Go run with that.
Hey, Kelly, I know some people out here, and they like, oh, you ain't right for that. You talking about you saying Giuliani, you know, Giuliani did marry his cousin.
Third cousin, yeah.
Right here in 1968. No, it wasn't third. It was second.
Okay.
In 1968, Giuliani wedded his second cousin, Regina Peruggi, who was the daughter of his father's first cousin. Think of your son, daughter marrying your cousin's daughter's son. Now, Giuliani at different points labeled the family connection as second cousins once removed and third cousins before he was corrected. In a 1993 memo for his mayoral campaign, a Giuliani strategist noted the weirdness factor of the marriage, according to a copy posted on the Smoking Gun website. I'm just saying.
Yep.
You married your second cousin.
Like J.D. Vance, they're weird.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Party of family values.
I'm just saying. So. I'm just saying. So. That's how they are. But yes, Kelly, leave his ass butt naked. Take everything.
I do not need that visual.
Make him go beg Trump to stay at one of them rooms in Mar-a-Lago. That's what you do. Take everything. I don't care. Take everything. I don't care. All right, I'm going to go to a quick break. I'll be right back here. What? What you got to say, Kelly?
No. I was just going to say, you know, sometimes just because it's legal don't mean you need to do it. And that's a very prime example of that. That's all.
You right. Still want to butt ass naked. I'll be back.
On the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds. As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
Hi, I am Tommy Davidson. I play Oscar on Proud Family, Louder and Prouder. I don't play Sammy, but I could. Or I don't play Obama, but I could. I don't do Stallone, but I could do all that. And I am here with Roland Martin on Unfiltered.
Police in Joliet, Illinois are looking for siblings Mia and Ruben Bonilla, who have been missing since April 19th. 17-year-old Ruben is 5 feet 8 inches tall, weighs 140 pounds with black hair and brown eyes. His 13-year-old sister Mia is 5 feet 4 inches tall, weighs 130 pounds with black hair and brown eyes. Anyone with information on Mia and Ruben Bonilla should call the Joliet, Illinois Police Department at 815-726-2491, 815-726-2491. Again, 815-726-2491. A circuit judge has granted a former Florida deputy $100,000 bond for pretrial release on Thursday in connection with the shooting death of U.S. Air Force senior airman Roger Fordson. Roger was killed in his home in May. Eddie Duran was denied release in his first court appearance on Tuesday at the Okaloosa County Circuit Court. In Thursday's hearing, Duran, who appeared before a judge in person, avoided the $250,000 bond amount asked by the state, but was denied the $10,000 requested by his attorneys. The judge ruled that Duran cannot possess any firearms, come into contact with Fordson's family, or leave the First Judicial Circuit area of Florida outside of special circumstances that may be allowed by the court if they come up. Duran is charged with manslaughter with a firearm in the May 3rd shooting death of 23-year-old Roger Fordson. The rare charge is a first-degree felony punishable by up to 30 years in prison. You know, one of the things that we always talk about here when we deal with these cops when they get charged and then when they go to jail is the special treatment they have. Remember, I don't know if y'all remember that case out of Oklahoma where the cop he was raping black women. And I'll never forget, Kelly, when he got convicted, if you went to the database of prisoners, you could not pull his name up. You couldn't pull his name up. And they essentially were hiding him in the system. I'm sorry. I just fundamentally believe that I don't give a damn if you are a cop. When you have now when you've broken the law and you've been convicted and you go to prison, you should be treated like everybody else. I get this whole thing about solitary confinement and, you know, because of the cop and there's a bounty on their head. I get that. But I'm sorry. You shouldn't be in that situation where they're hiding your name so the public doesn't know. And in this case here, listen, he got bond. But the bottom line is Fordson is dead. And all Fordson did was in Florida, an open carry state where they love guns, and answered his door with his gun because he didn't know who the hell was banging on his door. And so I really, really hope and can't wait when this cop is convicted of his heinous actions.
I mean, it is disgusting across the board. But to your point about them getting special treatment, if I recall correctly, there is proposed legislation for a database that will help resolve the issue of officers basically flying under the radar when it comes to grievances and infractions that they conduct while on duty. And I feel like something like this a database like this would really help in a case that you're talking about, because more likely than not, these officers have a history of such behavior before the big event happens. And I feel like if you have something like that already on the books, something that's already implemented, you'll have a lot fewer of these tragedies happening.
Michael?
Yeah, Roland. I remember that case of the officer who was raping the black women, and I remember you covering that and talking about how you couldn't find him in the prisoner database. Hopefully, hopefully justice will prevail here, and it's important to note that Roger Fortson, U.S. Airman Roger Fortson, when he came to the door, he did have a legally owned gun, but it was pointing down to the floor. He never pointed it at the police officers. And we've talked about this here on this show because there's going to have to be training. If they don't get training on this, there's going to have to be training on how to engage someone who is in their home and a legal gun owner, because you're in a state that's a open carry state. And not only that, Florida was the first state to have the stand your ground law. That's where stand your ground started, in Florida. So he didn't pose a threat to the officers. He didn't point the gun at officers. He in his home, legal gun owner holding his gun, pointed at the ground, at the floor. So hopefully justice will prevail here.
Indeed, and well, we hope so, but we know how a lot of these things go. All right, folks, final point here. This weekend is Monday is Labor Day, and we talked to a number of labor leaders, of course, at the Democratic National Convention. And you know, look, most people, when they look at this as a holiday weekend, they don't even think about what it's all about. But the reality is, when you look at a number of the issues we have, 40-day work week, things along those lines, 40-hour work week, labor fought for those things to happen. So, Kelly, I would really hope that folk, as they think about this weekend, think about Monday and talk about Labor Day weekend, they remember who made all this possible and think about the fights that we have in the country going on right now when it comes to fair wages and equity and health care, things along those lines for everyday workers, especially at a time when you have these CEOs and these making just ridiculous amounts of money and really screwing over everyday workers.
Absolutely. In typical American fashion, the rationale behind holidays gets diluted over time, right? And Labor Day has now devolved into basically a holiday where you shop, have a cookout, and, leisure, right? But Labor Day is a little bit more than that. It is, yes, relax from work, but the rationale behind it is, like you said, it's because of you have to recognize the fact that you need a higher living wage. You have to recognize the fact that you need unions. You have to recognize the fact that people are worth more than just a line item in somebody's, billion-dollar budget. And now with the election coming up, hopefully, like you said, people will begin to recognize that. Little doubtful, but one can hope.
Indeed. Kelly, and I, of course, really appreciate it. Thank you so very much. I want to do this here. There are some folks I want to give a shout out to. Don't pull the music up yet. We had some folks who gave during the show, so I told you I wanted to shout them out. Addie Harvey. What you do is here, y'all pull the slide up where people can actually give. But I'm going to shout out Addie Harvey, Sharon Alexander, Frederick Davis, Jessica Winbush, Belinda Robinson, Trudella, Kathy Stokes, Rochelle Johnson, Rodney Alford, Jeanette Mills, Mark Collins, Christine Ely, Stephen Jesse Harris, Kenrick Burke, Josephine Turner, Richard Pettigrew, Veda Lonnie, Kim, Dennis Palmore, Ronnie Jones, they all, Indira Karib, they all gave during the show, and I appreciate Robert Stevens as well. So I appreciate y'all donating to us. If you want to join our Bring the Funk fan club, send your check and money order P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. Cash App, $RM Unfiltered, PayPal, R Martin Unfiltered, Venmo is RM Unfiltered, Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Folks, I am in Houston. Tomorrow we're going to be having the homegoing service of my sister, Kenya Natasha Martin Williams. Pull up, y'all, the program, and want to pull that up. Also, a number of you have also been asking me to make a donation, and so what we have here is a scholarship fund for my twin nieces. They're in college, and so if you actually go to first of all, there's a QR code you can actually pick up. You can also go to guys don't so you give it right there. So you see right there. The QR code, so you just point your camera to that, and then so you see the $0 figure. You can put in any amount in there. So if you want to contribute to the scholarship fund of my sister's twin daughters, you can do so by just clicking the QR code as well. I'll post the link on social media if you want that as well. So be sure to check that out. So we'll be again funeralizing her tomorrow. So we appreciate all of your thoughts and prayers, and folks have also, a lot of you have sent flowers. I talked to the funeral home and they said, man, people have been calling from all over the country, and so we want to thank everybody for expressing their condolences to our family in this time. So I certainly appreciate it. Folks, I hope you have a fantastic weekend. Enjoy the weekend. Be safe. I'll be back in our studio on Tuesday. We're off on Monday. On Monday, though, we're off on Monday. What we will be doing on Monday, we're going to be actually putting through the best of our interviews with labor leaders, especially from the Democratic National Convention that's going to be our show on Monday. And so we appreciate that. Y'all be well. Y'all take care. And as y'all always know how I sign off. Holla!